This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are so excited to welcome James J. Traitz joining us here today as our international speaker, also trial lawyer. We're so excited to get to know him on a one-on-one level and to really get to know all about him. I want to find out all about your early childhood careers and all that you've accomplished, which is a lot, and the work that he's doing now, inspiring so many as a speaker. Pretty amazing. So, Jim, honored to have you here today. How's everything?
It's excellent.
Great. I'll have you start off by just saying hello and introducing yourself to everyone before we begin.
Well, you already said my name. My name is James J. Traitz. My friends call me Jim. I like to keep it informal, so refer to me as Jim.
Perfect. And Jim, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Oh, God. Well, my daytime job, officially, I'm a trial lawyer, civil trial lawyer. So I represent injured people and families, people that have been victims of, as I say, bad behavior, corporate bad behavior. But I mean, that's a very mundane aspect of what I do. It's not really how I identify. I mean, I can go on, or you can ask me questions, whatever you want.
Well, I think it's beautiful because you are a man that wears many hats, and we're going to, get to know you on a personal level. So I know your personal lifelong ambition is and was to heal the world. So take us back. Okay, where are you from? Are you currently living in Miami still?
Yeah, should I just give you a narrative, an overview? Just interrupt me if I'm going on and on too much.
I think it's perfect. We need that overview. Yes, tell us.
All right. Well, born in Philadelphia, but grew up in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
And basically, I've always enjoyed speaking. I couple that with I had a number of, you call them esoteric experiences growing up, like far out there stuff, in which I think the purpose of which was to alert me to the fact that there is more to life and reality than the physical dimension that we perceive. We're raised still in old concepts, believing that we are biochemical creatures that ascended or descended from apes. And evolution is a whole new, different debate. I'll do a whole show on it. But so I've had a number of experiences that awoke in me early on that there's a very real and immediate spiritual dimension, not out there, right here, we're immersed in the middle of it. So in school, my dream was to be a philosopher. And like you said, kind of help wake up the world, which is very, very much asleep. But I discovered
you're still doing today. Yep.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, in Western society and in America, philosophy isn't really respected because it doesn't necessarily automatically produce money.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was a medical doctor. I started in pre-med. Didn't particularly like it, but I liked law because it would give me an opportunity to speak. So the short story is I went to law school, became a trial lawyer because it enabled me to, A, help people that were victimized by others, and it gave me an opportunity to speak to juries. Now, even before that in law school, I would get through my, because you have to do a lot of reading in law school. So I was a fairly quick study. I'd race through my stuff and spend the rest of the evening reading philosophy, including New Age philosophy, ancient masters, Zen, and it goes to Eastern philosophy and so forth and so on. So even then, I was always speaking, locally. How do I explain this? Well, the experiences continued on the esoteric level. And what happens is, what I can explain subsequently is, when you put out an energy or a belief or a desire, it mingles with the universe literally. And if you don't block it with limited beliefs, well, then you kind of manifest or tune in that reality. And because of that, I had a couple of really far out experiences. On the more mundane level, perhaps, is I formed an association years ago with Dr. James J. Hurtak, Academy of Future Sciences, who's seen on the Ancient Aliens channels and whatnot.
Yep,
And he
yep.
has a yearly seminar with his hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And I've been a featured speaker for, with that group. That's just one of the things that I do. So I continue to do law. I kind of do it on a part-time basis. I no longer with big firms because I just didn't like the commercialism and where it was going. The dollar first, business first, client second. That turned me off. So I just have my own firm, and I don't advertise. People find me somehow. Well, I know how, but in the official logical world, somehow it happens, and it's a coincidence. Of course, we know
Yeah.
coincidences don't exist. Chance encounters don't exist, and that's basically been what it is. And then in every opportunity, I speak and try to inspire people and try to get people to awaken out of their small self into their larger self, which is incredibly huge. But that's not appreciated in America. It really isn't. It should be, but it isn't.
So when did you start doing the speaking? And I mean, obviously, it seems you've been an inspirational person your whole life in your whole world. Whether it was your other job, your family, just it kind of like it seems innate to you. When did you
Yeah,
start though speaking out in a sense? And I want to know more details about. Are you working with companies, corporations, individuals? And I want to
no,
know more about the
yeah.
inspirational speaking world.
Yeah, the limitations there. And again, remember, our beliefs really do govern our reality. And of course, many of the fundamental beliefs that we all have, we don't even know we have them. They're so inbred, and they kind of limit your reality unless you break through it. But so to answer your question specifically, well, with Dr. Hurtak, oh my God, it goes back an incredible number of years, all my life, pretty much. But more recently, what happened was, I guess around 2003, I got inspired to just create a little philosophical handbook. I'm talking about a book that's barely 100 pages, and it was occasioned by, well, a combination of studying Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, Zen, martial arts, quantum physics, the science of Einstein. And I came to realize that it's all the same message. It is all saying the same thing. Um, and so I wanted to put together a small little book that just expels some of those thoughts in very simplistic language. And what happened was, sometimes the words will just come to me. So I took a tape recorder and I started just walking around my yard and I just started speaking. And that resulted in I had it typed up, a typed manuscript. At the time, I was already pretty advanced in the martial arts. I was 4 dan black belt. And on Friday nights at the dojo, I was teaching a
Wow.
self-realization class, moving
Okay.
meditation. And then, so the short story is, in walks this incredibly great looking, tall, African American, articulate, great guy. And he was very interested in the class. And he started talking to me. And I told him about this book I was doing. He said, let me tell you who I am. I'm Bob Marley's son in law.
Oh
I'm
my
married
goodness.
to, oh, yeah. Bob Marley has a lot of extended family, but his bio daughter, that's his connection. And I was in Pinecrest, Florida, Port of Miami, and of course they were very prominent there. And he started talking to me about the concepts of my book. And he said, "Well, are you gonna convert it into a book?" I said, "Yeah, well, I'm not an editor, and I'm not this." And he goes, "Well,
Hmm.
I I'm going to give you the Marley family's editor because this stuff is just too valuable. It's got to get out." That's basically how it started. And what happened is I met with their editor, and he basically said, look, Jim, the spoken word, the written word is a little bit different. If you're speaking, you may say, I'm telling you folks, you create your own reality. You create your own reality. You can be repetitious to emphasize a point. In the written word, you don't quite do it. So he goes, look, I'm not going to change any of your words, but I'm going to put it more in a written format. And he did. I self-published it, and had a Japanese calligrapher do silk screen for it, and then I picked some of my favorite quotes, and then Marley's editor, who's connected, sent it out. And I speak about Gurdjieff, I speak about Castaneda, both having to do with the way of the warrior. And I heard back from Castaneda. Castaneda's now dead, of course, but his series of books were famous. And then so he reached out and he gave a script for my book. And I'm almost done with this point because I'm going on and on here. But the editor said, you know what? I'm going to send it to the head of the Gurdjieff Society. And I go, oh, that'd be interesting. And he'll probably put a comment. He goes, oh, no, they don't respond to anybody. Are you kidding? Totally unapproachable, impossible. I just have an intuition to do it. I'm going to do it. We're not going to get a response. That's what he said. So he sends it out. As the book's going to print, we hear from him. And he literally did a script for my book because he felt that I was capturing the concept of what Gurdjieff in 1900 was trying to teach. So that's basically it. So, and then the way these non-coincidental coincidences happen. So I'm in my law firm. I broke away from a big firm for the reason I told you earlier. And this gal that actually worked, cutting hair, super, super spiritual. She said, you've got to meet Danny. He's incredible. And so in comes this guy. He's European, kind of youngish guy. And he met with me and he goes, Jim, well, first of all, he starts talking to me about, I'm here to maybe do a webpage for you. And I said, well, that's the guys under which we met. I agreed to meet with you with this and that. And he said, well, he goes, what's that? I said, oh, that's a book I had written. He starts thumbing through it and he just stops in his tracks. He goes, I don't really like doing web pages. He goes, let me tell you what my dream is. I said, sure. He goes, there's a phenomenon. It's not really well known yet called YouTube. It's going to be huge. YouTube is going to be huge. It's just pretty much, it's been around a little while. It's not really fully discovered yet. And my dream is to help the world and wake the world up. And he said, and I've got the know-how to do it because I can create YouTube videos that are very well done without looking like they're overly polished, professional, some corporate thing, with an economic motive. And he said, but I don't have the subject. I don't have the person that I could feature on YouTube to talk about some of these truths. I said, oh, wow, that's very interesting. He goes, no, but the good news, I found him.
Yeah.
I said, really? He goes, I said, who is it? He goes, I'm looking at him. So that started a relationship where literally he would take this video camera and would film me responding to questions. And then he cut it up. He goes, look, the trick with YouTube, people make these 30-minute videos. No one's watching a 30-minute video. The whole key is to make videos that are cut into 2 to 4 minute segments.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, Jim, I can think of a million questions. Can you suggest some questions that people want to know? I said, well, it doesn't have to be rigid, but what is the soul? Do we have a soul? If we have a soul, where's our soul? Are we able to access our soul? Does God exist? If God exists, where is God and what is God? What is the universe? Is the universe what it seems to be?
Yeah.
Why are we here? What's our purpose? Where are we going? What's life all about? Those kind of questions. And I proceeded to just respond. So we got 4 hours of video, turned it into 38 YouTube videos.
Whoa.
And within several months, I had over 500,000 hits. From
my
America,
goodness.
from America, Europe, from all over. And I now have about 140 videos. Now, none of them have to do with law.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay.
The,
Okay.
the only other thing I always tell people if they wanted to check on these is so Hertak, who's great, brilliant, unbelievable, but his videos weren't really going anywhere. I said, because they were 30 and 45 minutes, an hour. And he
Mm-hmm.
says, do you think I could do some videos with you and your guy, Danny, who's so great? And so I said, sure. But now his focus is on extraterrestrials, the UFO phenomenon. Oh, yeah. But
Wow.
there's something larger than extraterrestrials. I'm going to get there. And so the videos they did with him are focused on the UFO, extraterrestrial, alien, higher consciousness area. So I tell people because if, say, you go on YouTube under the search engine, you type in James Traitz, the videos will pop up.
Uh-huh.
But some of the videos will be UFO. So my message isn't one of UFOs and extraterrestrials, okay? It's far more fundamental than that. And Hartak talks about, and I agree with him, what he calls ultra terrestrials. So what are ultra terrestrials? Well, that's kind of the angelic order of being. And as you know, all the way back to early man and throughout the Bible, there's description of angelic beings and encounters and whatnot. It is all real. And then the question becomes, well, are ultra terrestrials, these spiritual beings, are they angels or angels ultra terrestrials? And it turns out we're connected directly to them. But as I said in one of my recent talks with Hertak at his group, is it's very UFO focused. I said you got to be very, very, very careful not to fall down and worship or idolize, say, an extraterrestrial race of beings. Why? Well, they're created just like we are. They are not better than us. They, in some instances, they are spiritually less evolved than we are. Not all, but they're real. And they've been in and around the planet
Yeah.
since time immemorial. And I said, but what's much more important is ultra terrestrials. And
Yeah.
this is in order that they are non-physical, but they are connected to us. So we all have higher selves. And basically our higher self aspect is at the ultra terrestrial level. So we can
Mm-hmm.
directly tune into that and we can empower ourselves that way. And literally we can manifest our reality in an absolutely real sense. People might say it's not scientific. I'm saying it's beyond science. It is science. It's advanced science, okay? Unfortunately, there's still a lot of beliefs in science as a result of what I call old paradigm scientists and old paradigm physicists. Again, I'm going on here, not giving a chance to ask a question. But to cut to the chase here, the problem is that science was born of materialism. And
Mm-hmm.
I call that the materialism myth. What's the materialism myth? Well, the fact of the matter is that matter does not exist.
Wow.
Now, somebody with a scientific background, oh, I understand it's electromagnetic energy, and energy manifests as matter. And I'm saying on one level, but beyond that, there's consciousness. And our scientists are just beginning to get there. So the problem, and as I say in my book, the problem is that people believe that the substance of the universe is matter, which it's not. If the substance of the universe is matter, then we live in a fear greed dichotomy of survival of the fittest, not enough to go around. And that's just absolutely not true. First of all, the substance of the universe is not matter, it's consciousness. So the universe that you see out there is composed of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. And it is observation dependent, which means the physical reality you perceive only exists when being observed by an observer. Okay, so everything in existence, uh, well, it's composed of consciousness and it manifests as a result of observation, which has been demonstrated many, many times by the so called double slit experiment, which at some point we should talk about, an incredible scientific experiment that basically proves A, that matter doesn't exist, and B, that we alter what we think is matter, the so called subatomic particles, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really they're particle waves. I think of quantum physics, they're quanta. They're little packets of energy. So there's no particles. Particles do not exist. They look like they exist, but they do not exist. And basically we program and reprogram or co-create is a term, our reality, our physical reality by virtue of our beliefs and expectations and emotions and feelings. We manifest reality. That's the bottom line.
Wow, this is a lot. I'm digesting so much, and I hope our listeners are as well. This is fascinating. See, I didn't know this much about you, and I'm learning, and I can't believe. Wow, so knowledgeable. So, Jim, you are really like trend setting with your approach, with your speaking, with your thinking, and let me just ask. I also read something about, you were taught by a Zen master, or how did you even
Oh
start
my God.
these? Yeah, I mean, I'm picturing you in the backyard, on your phone, making your recordings. But when did you know you had this gift of?
Well, I don't, little by little.
Okay.
The reason why, I hate to get into what I will, if you want, these little esoteric experiences, because unfortunately, in Western society, in all societies, we label things, and by labeling things, we take the real fruit, the reality of what they
Yeah.
really are, by virtue of labels. So always had these esoteric experiences. Maybe he's mentally ill, or maybe he's not stable, or this is weird, and but these magical things have kind of happened throughout my life. Why? Is it because I'm some special person? No, we all are. It's because I think that it's as part of my reincarnation. I don't like the word reincarnation because it all happens at once. Also, on another level, time doesn't exist. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place. But so we believe that we live in this huge universe that has existed for, well, the conventional wisdom now is 13.8 billion years, and time is going by, and everything is affected by time. And that's not true. Time is not going by. Time does not truly exist. It is a way of perceiving reality, and it's subjective and it's plastic, as
Yeah.
Einstein demonstrated with his general and special theories of relativity. Well, that would be, yeah, relativity. Uh, but okay, so getting back, um, I well, with Hertak. Well, I mean, if you go way back, again, I hate to do this, but when I was 8 years old, I had an experience. I was with my brothers and sisters, my mom, and all of a sudden, I felt like a magnetic pull, literally as if someone took their fingertip
Ah.
under my chin and lifted it up. And there were between 18 and 24, broad day, noon, bright, not a cloud in the sky. These little star-like silver sparkling entities that were doing a dance.
Oh.
And they just were undulating and doing a dance. And then they went whoop, like that. And my head just gently came back down. And yeah, I can still see that like it happened yesterday. Well, if we fast forward when I
Yeah.
was about 20, is this too detailed?
No, I'm
Oh,
fascinated right
all
now.
right. When I was
Please.
about 23, what happened is growing up Miami Beach, my sister, a year younger, went to school with Desiree Hertak. Her and that last name was Hertak. Then they were very, very, very close. She was very, very deeply spiritual. And my sister Linda said, "Look, Desiree is, I met a guy. I think you're getting married. His name is James Hertak. He's incredible. He's unbelievable. He's got this Academy of Future Sciences. The people seek him out. Uri Geller's worked with him. Edgar Mitchell from the Moon has done experiments with him. An amazing guy. It's very hard to get an audience. Well, he's coming to Miami, and it's invitation only. And all of the so-called intelligence, the intelligentsia, the so-called people that believe they're warlocks or witches or magicians or deeply spiritual or
Mm-hmm.
um, psychics and whatnot. Well, so Linda said, I never met Hertak. I knew who Desi was. Hertak wants you to be at his talk. I said, well, okay. I mean, that's pretty weird, but okay. In any event, what happened is we had cousins come in from Philadelphia I hadn't seen in years, and we were going to go to a movie, and I realized I wasn't going to be able, I was going to be late for this thing. I called Linda, said, Linda, with apologies, tell Dr. Hertek and Desi that, I would not be able to make it on time. I'm not going to be able to go. Okay. She gets back to me. Hertek said, you've got to be there. He's going to delay the talk. You need to be there. I'm 23 years old. I'm saying, what? I said, this is too weird. This is too weird. But I went. And there's this room full of people and dignitaries. And there's Hertek. And he looks just like the way he looks down on Ancient Aliens. And of course, the talk was incredible, speaking about what our government knows, the cover-ups and everything else. Well, at the end, he comes up to me. We wound up talking until late in the evening. He goes, I know you probably found it strange that I insisted you be here. And he said, but after we spoke, I was contacted by the other side,
Wow.
And I was told that one of my purposes on being here is to make contact with you, because you're going to be doing work on this planet and you're going to contribute to the awakening of the planet. It's going to be years down the road. You're going to live your life. You're going to live a normal life. You're going to have some esoteric experiences, but basically the higher dimensional beings and I hate to say that because we all spiritually have equal integrity before God, but basically
amazing. Well, and I apologize, we do have to wrap it up, but we need another. Hopefully, we're going to be speaking again. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they made contact with me, and then there were further experiences. I met with a guy named James Harder, who's very well known in San Francisco, who puts people under in hypnosis that have had UFO experiences that may have been actually taken up on a craft and whatnot, and I consented to let him put me under. Basically, that's a whole different story. But anyway, here I am. I continue to do some talks on YouTube, and I was contacted by your people, and I felt that you reached out to me, so why not do it?
Hey, everything in this world is meant to be. We're learning, and I love hearing you. I want to hear more about your story. I wish we had more time, but I hope we have more time to talk again, Jim. Thank you so much for being here. How can we reach out to you? How can we find those videos?
Okay. The email I'm using, I have a personal, I have a law one, but the personal one gets so much junk. So my email is jtraitz, first initial, last name, at traitzlawfirm.com, not Traitz Law, traitzlawfirm.com. Is one way. On YouTube, again, if you type in the search engine, James, and then a space, right? Traitz. Well, some law stuff might come up, but all these videos will come up.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I cannot wait. Thank you so much again for being here. Looking forward to our next conversation. Thanks again, Jim. Bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.